Kyle McCord is named the starter. We'll see how he does. He's been off to a little bit of a slow start, threw a pick against Indiana. What is up, everybody? It is Jake with Master Football back at it again. Happy Wednesday. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to be up to date on everything college football, pro football, Madden, EA college football, NFL draft, anything related to American football, hit that red subscribe button. You will not be disappointed. Also, the like button too, and follow on Twitter/X. That fam is growing. Without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, guys, here we are in the middle of the week. We are only a couple days away from some more college football. Again, pro football week 1 was awesome. I mean, I just watched last night. Again, for me, I'm filming this on Tuesday, but so last night I watched Monday Night Football. It was awesome with that punt return for touchdown. Sucks about Aaron Rodgers being knocked out for the season. But I want to talk about the rankings because there's something you have to check into, because there's one team, a power, the power arguably in the Big Ten, that is off to a bit of a slow start here. We'll see what it means, but first of all, let's check and see what we're talking about. So here we are on college football rankings, and again, I would love the fact that, first of all, the Pac-12 is absolutely killing it right here. I mean, look at the Pac-12. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ranked teams. They're absolutely bringing up they're really filling out that entire bracket there. But again, at the top here, Georgia, Michigan, and then number 3. So number 3 preseason was Ohio State. Now Michigan's off to a good start. Georgia's, of course, doing their thing. They need to be knocked off the top of the mountain before somebody else, crown somebody else. But we see the fact that Ohio State is 2-0, but they're down a couple spots. So they start off at 3. Now they've went to 4 and then 5. Now they're 6th. I do understand that Florida State, big win over LSU in a neutral site. Texas, big win at Alabama, the reason why they went up 7 spots this last poll. And then USC is already off to a 3-0 start because they did play week 0. But Ohio State 2-0, and they've fallen 1 spot. Again, 2-0. What is going on there? Well, it goes into the fact that they're having some issues on offense so far. And you can see so far at Indiana, not exactly the most preeminent power in the Big Ten, and then also Youngstown State. So they went on the road. Again, road, you never really know, but whipping out a new quarterback, 22-3 on the road, win by 20 points. Obviously, you outman Indiana, you should be fine. And then Youngstown State at home, and it was a little bit of a tight game for a long time there. Gave up a late touchdown so that they only were up 28. I know I'm a gambling man. I'm sorry. I was paying attention. They did not cover that game too. But first 2 games, a 20-point win over Indiana, who you should beat by a bazillion, and then a 28-point win over Youngstown State, who was an FCS team. Something's been going on so far. As a matter of fact, they've already identified what's going on here, and it's been their issues at quarterback, which they think they've solved by their latest move. So here we are from Ton Van Haren from ESPN.com. He says Ohio State names QB Kyle McCord starter for the rest of the season. Article continues here. Ohio State coach Ryan Day named Kyle McCord the starting quarterback for the remainder of the season after being non-committal about the starter, full-time starter, the past few weeks. Day had a quarterback battle to manage this offseason between McCord and Devin Brown, with neither player taking a big leap over the other. McCord started the first 2 games, but Day had said repeatedly he wanted to get Brown reps in the games and he wanted to see both quarterbacks. Previously, when he asked if McCord would be the full-time starter, Day said he didn't want to draw any hard lines on the position. That is, until now. We decided that Kyle is going to be the starter. Day said we're going ahead and making up that distinction. The number 6 Buckeyes are 2-0 with McCord as the starter, but Day has acknowledged that the offense hasn't clicked to its full potential and that the coaches are still trying to find their identity. Through the first 2 games, McCord has thrown 497 yards and 3 touchdown passes. I remember I said there before, they went at Indiana, won 20-3 or 23-3, played home against Youngstown State, 35-7. Again, a 20-point victory and a 28-point victory. You should be fine, but this is Ohio State. They only accept 5-star receivers, 5-star players, whatever the situation is with all those guys. And they just haven't really been doing well. They think it was in the situation involved with the quarterbacks, the fact they hadn't really identified a clear starter. I like how they said there, we want to wait for somebody to step up. That's the classic. Oh, the quarterback's going to step up. Basically what they mean is that quarterback's just going to make it obvious. Hasn't been so obvious recently. However, they are going with McCord for the remainder of the season. Day mentioned Tuesday, however, that McCord is starting to understand how to operate the game and getting into his own rhythm. He believes the consistency that McCord has shown has given him the opportunity to lead the offense going forward. Quote, it gives Kyle, first off, peace of mind that I think he realizes he is the starter. Day said he's earned that opportunity. Day mentioned McCord's consistency as his special trait, the fact that McCord is managing games and not making bad plays worse, were part of the decision to allow McCord to move forward as the starter. Ohio State plays Western Kentucky this weekend, and then we'll take on number 9 Notre Dame. So we talk about Kyle McCord, we talk about Devin Brown, two very high-level quarterbacks. They're going with McCord, who has more experience on his side. So Kyle's here. He's the junior. He's from Mount Laurel, New Jersey, just outside of Philadelphia. Very first game, so 20 for 33, 239, 0 touchdowns, and 1 pick. However, this last week against Youngstown State, 14 for 20, 258, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Again, you can see the fact that he's a former 5-star player. He is the guy who they're trying to kind of build around. That first week at Indiana, again, a couple of the kinks there. They're trying to iron those out. He is the guy who they picked over Devin Brown. Now, Devin Brown is a 4-star player, but again, for him, it says his birthplace is Gilbert, Arizona, but he actually came from just down south of me in Salt Lake City, Utah. At the very first game, you could tell that, again, Ohio State, tons and tons of dudes. Marvin Harrison Jr., tons of stars. But week 1 at Indiana, 1 completion, 3 attempts, -2 yards, 1 carry, -3 yards. Not the kind of ability you wanted to see from him coming forward. So they've decided to go with Kyle McCord for the rest of the season over Devin Brown. We see the rest of that season, and it's going to be just wow. Looking at the remainder of the season, next week, this coming week here, they play Western Kentucky. They're going to be fine. Okay, they're going to beat Western Kentucky. And then they've got 3 extremely difficult matchups they have to work their way through. So Ohio State goes to number 9 Notre Dame. That is going to be a lot harder of a game. Sam Hartman's down there. They got a good offensive line. That's going to be a super difficult one. We remember last season in the first half when C.J. Stroud and Ohio State hosted Notre Dame. It was a closer game than you thought it was going to be, and then they eventually pulled away. Then you've got Maryland at home. Going to be hard out there. Purdue, we'll see what happens with Purdue. Penn State at home will be difficult. At Wisconsin, at Rutgers. Wisconsin might be able to make it interesting. I know they just lost to Washington State. Michigan State's got that whole situation with the coach. I'm not going to touch that with a 20-foot pole. Minnesota will be just a tough team because it'll be late in the season. And then at number 2, Michigan. It really, unfortunately, looks like whoever they pick, Kyle McCord or Devin Brown, either one. They've gone with McCord, and again, I think they've gone with McCord, like they said, because it's more of a, hey, you're the guy, rest easy, you've got this. You've got a little bit of wiggle room. You can maybe go out there and take some chances and go from there. But those games they got, again, they've got them evenly spaced out. They've got September, they've got Notre Dame. And then October, they've got Penn State. And November, they've got Michigan. So go boom, boom, boom. They've got a couple different games in between those games. So no real tough, like, onslaught of games. But still, that is a tough road of games to play. Those 3 are going to have their hands full with those 3 playing them. Kyle McCord, we'll see how he does. He's the guy going forward. Whether or not it stays like that, I don't know. Again, if it gets bad enough, they might pull him. But again, Ohio State, they're not very patient, man. And like I said, Ohio State, they are not a very patient fan base. They recruit the top of the line players in the country. They're consistently a top 10 recruiting team. But are Ohio State firing head coach Ryan Day if they lose to Michigan again, debunking the biggest myth in college football? Again, this was just this last July. But again, it is still out there. That is a myth in terms of the administration's perspective. But from the fan base's perspective, this is serious, okay? You got Marvin Harrison Jr., you got all these stars. I mean, think about this. Garrett Wilson the other night on Monday Night Football with that amazing catch. Those are the types of players that play at Ohio State. If they can't figure it out with Kyle McCord, former 5-star, Devin Brown, former 4-star, they can't figure out with them, man, the leash is short for Ryan Day. Again, they should be fine. They're off to a 2-0 start, but they've got 3 really difficult games coming up. How they do, we'll see, man. So Ohio State, they were originally the number 3 team in the country preseason. Now they've fallen all the way down to 6. Now they're still 2-0, but remember they had Florida State beat LSU, Texas beat Alabama, so they had some big wins up there. They haven't really had that from Ohio State, but what they do have coming up, at Notre Dame, home against Penn State, at Michigan, 3 really difficult games. Now they are spread out, 1 in September, 1 in October, 1 in November, but again, Kyle McCord is named the starter. We'll see how he does. He's been off to a little bit of a slow start, threw a pick against Indiana. Devin Brown had 1 completion for negative yards. Neither one has looked very good. This is the team that expects to win the national championship. It looks like they're not even 100% sure who their quarterback is. They say it's Kyle McCord, but the fact they had the battle means they really don't know. How they do the rest of the season, I don't know. But I do know that I'm not saying trouble for Ohio State, but I'm saying that there's signs that there are. All right, guys, get in the comments right now. What do you think about this whole situation with Ohio State? Again, I'm a little worried about them. Again, I think they're going to be fine. Okay, I got a friend who's a Michigan fan. He wants them to lose. But again, that's neither here nor there. What I'm basically saying, though, is you can see the fact. Number 3 team preseason. Now they're down to 6. And then who knows, if they lose to Notre Dame, it's going to go farther down from there. They just named their quarterback Kyle McCord. Again, the fact they named him almost midway through the first month of the season, not the greatest sign. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you so much for being here. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Do all that stuff. I appreciate it. That's it for me, guys. I'll see you guys later. I am out.